Welcome to Tax Watch, the public access television show of the concerned taxpayers of Duval County. We want to thank Comcast for providing this access to the airwaves, and also mention that they make no attempt to alter or edit our content, and we appreciate that too, and in return we've shown a lot of common sense in the things we present. Today's show is about the budget, the city budget, which is a huge task to compose and go through all the many factors in the city budget. And of course, that determines what kind of taxation structure you'll be involved in as a citizen, and the kind of services that you'll receive. City council typically, due to the election cycles, faces that huge task upon entering office, and so lacking experience to really understand everything that goes on in government in many cases, they're involved just immediately in a very huge process of creating a budget. The election cycle has been changed after this election in spring of 2011. And by the way, I'm a candidate for City Council District 13, which is the Beaches and Deerwood area. After this one, in runoff in May, the term will be lengthened in order to bring the cycle in a little different orientation, so that City Council members will have more experience when they're faced with the task of creating a budget. And part of the problem with that is that there are a lot of special interests that receive money from the city government. Nonprofits typically are there to advocate and, let's say, lobby for their cause to receive money from the city based on the services they provide to the city, and we need to take a close look at that in a lot of cases. You have cultural groups, Children's Commission, and religious groups looking for their share of the city pie, if you will, in order to operate as they do. You have new areas that come up in which our government is involved, such as, well, economic development or economic development, which has become a huge trend and maybe a fashion in government to take city taxes in order to go out and recruit businesses for the area. And the rationale is that they will bring more to the tax base and provide growth on which a city thrives. The city also works in areas such as victim services, which has become kind of a new area that we're involved in. And then areas like public relations and advertising, these are all open for discussion and debate. And so we're basing our show today on the mayor's budget workshops, which is an attempt to bring the public more into the sphere of discussion of the city budget. And my experts today are co-host Conrad Markle. He's our secretary with the concerned taxpayers, and he's typically seen talking to committees and city council, and he has attended one of the budget workshops. And also today, special guest and our treasurer of the concerned taxpayers, Curtis Wolf, whose letters are often seen in the paper. And he also speaks to city council and various groups. So welcome, gentlemen. I'm Dave Smith, by the way, and with that, we'll start off with Curtis. Tell us about your involvement with the city budget workshops.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. First, I'll kind of talk about the basic format of the budget workshops. They start off with a quick little introduction, and then the mayor gives his basic spiel, which he kind of talks about the budget, and the he does, like what he's often does, is that he compares how much we spend on various things to other cities, which to me is not a real appropriate, because It may be that the other cities are spending too much, and maybe we're spending just right, but he tries to make it sound like we're not spending enough. So he gives his spiel, kind of gives a little background on the budget, and then at that point we're broken up into separate groups, and these are for different departments and different basically budget areas, and like the Jacksonville Children's Commission, Jacksonville Education, Jacksonville Economic Development Committee, and then when you get in there, then the various people who head up these departments will sit there and talk about the departments for a little bit, the budget, and talk about the kind of things that the department does, and then after that, then you go and you start voting on all these different different jobs that these departments do, the different responsibilities, and then you say, okay, is this a must-have or should-have or nice-to-have or don't want? So you have to vote on one of those for each one of the categories, and then you can have some discussion in there. It depends on how many responsibilities. Sometimes it's just enough time just to vote on it. But other times you can have some discussion. You can try to convince other people that maybe this is a bigger priority for this department than another one.
What size of a group are you working with when you discuss these parts of the budget?
It depends. I've seen them as you can have about 8 or 9, or I've seen go down to maybe 2 or 3.
I see.
So it depends. I think toward the end it was starting to get a little harder to get a lot of people on these committees.
Right. Did the city ask you to, or JCCI, the author of the study, did they ask you to show up to all of these, commit to all of them?
No. You basically went to the ones that you wanted to go to. Mm-hmm. Now I attended 6 of them.
I see. Yeah, it's a lot.
So,
out of 8.
Yeah, out of 8. So I just wanted to basically touch on different departments like the JDC and the Jacksonville Children's Commission, and then other types of planning department and that sort of stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, Conrad, you attended one.
Yeah, I made a point to attend the first one, which was at Blue Cypress Park back in the very beginning. I think it was back in March, and that was their pilot. That was where they were getting a feel of what they were doing. Now, unlike the ones that Curtis went to, the hall over there was filled. My business is in Arlington, so that was the one that I felt that I should go to. I didn't realize that at that first one they weren't emphasizing that we could go to all of them, nor were we encouraged to go to all of them, and it was done a little bit differently. But the big feeling that I think Curtis would probably agree with us, they sat you at a table that you were supposed to select, which I didn't know I was supposed to do either. I did end up at a very good table with the recreation department and the county agents people, which I do work with. So before it was over, you were supposed to cast 10 votes for the departments that you most favored as doing good with the tax dollar. So judging by that, it was easy for any group to load the boat, so to speak, if they wanted to, and that was the way it appeared when they had boards all the way around the room where people cast their 10 votes, and there were some of them that were just like fire and rescue, just had a huge preponderance of overweight because of everybody being afraid of fire and rescue being cut. And then some departments hardly had any votes at all.
Yeah. And I did notice from looking over the JCCI study that police services, public safety, were rated overwhelmingly must-have or should-have. And then when you have nice-to-have, I'm a little unsure of what that means. But then you drop off drastically to don't want. See what I'm saying? But there were only a few things, if you read the study, and there's some 80 pages to that, so but you can get a pretty good idea. I think it's laid out fairly well. There are very few that people said they just absolutely don't want. Did you find that you voted in a similar way to the other participants, gentlemen? I mean, we're all